Can you not eat my screws? Hey! Thermaltake, if you're watching this, which you're probably not going to be, I'm voiding your warranty. Pretty much immediately. And she's going to help. Because this thing, all this airflow that's being... You don't even have captive screws. On the Core X5, at least you had captive screws. Okay. Liz. Liz. Stay right there. Can I get a representative from Thermaltake to tell me what's the fucking point of screwing in a filter for a glass panel? So to the people who are actually watching this, who may be looking at this product, I actually cannot put into words how terrible of an idea I think that is. This product is very much trash. It's poorly thought out, and ultimately the downfall of products like this, the entire Core X lineup that's closed off with glass panels and everything, is going to be the fact that the CEOs did not think about it, which brings you probably to a wonderful conclusion. Why the hell, if you know all of this, would you ever purchase this case? And the answer is, I didn't have another choice. There's literally nothing else on the market that does what this case and its predecessors did. So the only option that I have is to purchase this case and mod the shit out of it. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna show Thermaltake exactly how to make this case better. Because they don't know. And they need to be shown that this half-baked product isn't done yet. Yeah?
She's helping.
She likes computer cases because they're like boxes, I think. I don't know.
She's a strange cat. She doesn't really care much for normal boxes or anything that might resemble a normal box.
But a computer case.
But she
Whoa.
loves computer cases.
Alright. So now I'm just going to be tearing into this, seeing exactly what all I can find. Because there aren't very good pictures of this, and I really want to document what all this entails. So, these glass panels, alright? You look at these right here, these screws. So, my presumption here is that the screws actually hold in the glass. And so if you wanted to replace any bit of glass on this, it is entirely possible. Now that sounds like something that an engineer or probably enthusiast somewhere came up with, and I applaud them for that, because we're going to be doing that. In the pictures, it looks as though it's epoxied on. It's not. Not as far as actually, as a matter of fact, got me a handy dandy screwdriver. So let's go ahead and actually see what is underneath this little shroud. These are really shallow screws, so I really think it's just pressure mount on this glass between two pieces of plastic. That's the way it really looks. But we won't know until we find out. Ooh, is that epoxy? Okay, so it's got these little clamps right here that slide backwards, but yeah, bottom side is not epoxied, also just clamped in place really tightly. So it is literally just glass with holes in it. So if you wanted to replace this and you wanted to do what I'm about to do, you can. Now before I break this, I better put it back together. Alright. That seems to be how this is all put together on at least 3 of the sides. Very carefully. And then these sides, the side pieces, do look to be interchangeable. Just gotta flip them. It looks like they at least tapped all of their screws, which is more than I can say on that case. Yeah, this is the same, exactly the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Both sides are interchangeable, they're identical. These are your radiator mounts. Here's something that I don't like about this. These, supposedly, according to Thermaltake, are not compatible with 4 140mm fans. If you're interested in water cooling and you like acoustics, more than likely, you'll like 140mm fans. There's little retention clasps there, so you gotta lift and pull on this one. It's got 4 fan holes, but for whatever reason, they couldn't think of 140mm fans. Supposedly you can only fit 3 here. That disgruntles me, because there's 4 fan holes. Looked up the specs on it too. The difference between being able to fit a 560mm radiator and a 480mm radiator is literally like 1/8 of an inch. Like physically in the chassis, it can fit if you had like 1/8 of an inch longer. They got standoffs pre-installed here. Extra long SSI EEB form factor, so that's nice. But they don't have all of the standoffs for SSI EEB. Whatever. Whole front panel, just rip it off from the bottom. It's got these little knobs here. They're just retention mechanisms. I guess it might have a couple more. If you wanted to keep somebody out of this, on the older ones, you used to be able to fit an oversized screw in a lot of these and just thread them. And then you couldn't take them off, but you had to get in from the inside. So if you wanted to have TPM, it's basically like a little toggle switch that goes on one of the side doors. Makes it so you can't start your computer unless everything's all closed up. You could totally do that. For the sides and top and everything, I don't know how you're gonna do that. But for the front, at least, it's a thought. This glass. This glass, seriously? The glass on the front looks like it's adhesived on, so if you wanted to replace the glass, then you would have to hit it with a heat gun, I'd say. This mesh filter is probably about somewhere between 1/4 of an inch to maybe a 1/2 inch. It goes full length, top to bottom. It's not particularly great. There's really not much clearance there. Depth, it's probably about 1/4 of an inch maybe. Less than 1/4 of an inch in depth from the glass to the filter. So there is a little air gap there, but ultimately this whole thing's super duper suffocated. It's all aesthetics, 110% aesthetics. It's possible to take off this though, this grill. That's what I plan to do. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it, but it should be possible to do that. Got enough material to work with. Everything else that's included, pretty much nothing. There's a little goodies bag here that's been secured tighter than anything else in the case. The weirdest hard drive cages I think I ever did see. They're sideways. The rails are on the sides here, but the hard drive sits like this. So a different orientation. You're gonna need right angle SATA connectors in order to put that in. But more than likely, if you're after this case and the ridiculous amount of size that it offers, you're not interested in hard drive space. Could be somewhere in here, there should be a large side panel 4-fan mount. Similar to these, but there's another one that sits on the side right here as an optional piece. But it appears that that is only shown in the pictures. So, if you saw that in the pictures and you thought that it was included, I guess the joke's on you two. Thermaltake got that one. Did I mention this case is $200? This is pretty well sandwiched together, but I don't know how much trust you would have in fan screws to hold up a whole 140, or I'm sorry, not 140, 480 millimeter radiator. I would not have that much trust in 8 screws. Real estate is there if you got your own mount though. Like you can see in here clearly there's plenty of room. Mounts for a pump or something of the sort, get creative. That's the best advice that I can say. Nice thing is that there's a lot of real estate to drill into. Hope you don't care about your warranty. If you were not concerned about these hard drive cages, you can remove them. Everything in this case is totally modular, well, mostly modular. So here's some interesting things about this. You can tell that they reused the basic layout. They didn't really put much into tooling, which is probably why this isn't really a new case. This is just a refresh of an old case. Most of the rubber grommets here are still in older style, as if you were going to mount radiators on the outside of the case. Clearly, if you have tempered glass on 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, the outside of your case, you're probably not mounting radiators because you're not going to drill into tempered glass. So, in addition to that, it's 2020, it's not 2007. This is a 5 1/4 inch bay drive. Actually, it's 3 of them from the X9, Core X9. There's so much here that you're like, you could have done so much better, but you chose not to. So I said I was done, but I found more, alright? So we were talking about filters and everything like that. We were talking about this filter on the top and how it doesn't cover the glass. And I was like, if you're gonna put a filter on it, do like what my case has, and put a filter on the bottom. And she goes, there is a filter, but it stops right there. Why? How much more cost is it to just extend this?